Welcome to another edition of the Uke Builders Workshop. My name is Doug Long and I'll be your host for today's program. The Uke Builders Workshop is produced in cooperation with the Ukulele Guild of Hawaii. My guests for today include uke builder and luthier Derek Shimizu of G-String Ukulele.
How's it going, Doug?
Great, how are you?
Good.
Good. And my musical guest is Chris Salvadore.
Thanks for
having
having
our
me.
intro, and he'll be joining us again, later in the program to play a couple songs. Great. Our program, the topic for today is quality and care of your ukulele, and Derek is going to be, sharing a little bit about his history as a luthier, how he got into the business, starting in the garage, and working up to, medium-sized shop now.
Yeah.
How did you get started?
Was in college. Actually, I was playing guitar, struggling at guitar, and then I was taking a Hawaiian language class. And my good friend, he lives on a big island now, but he was playing ukulele. So I said, okay, I'm gonna try and pick up ukulele and play it. So that's how I got into ukulele. But I always had to borrow. The only one I had was like this old soprano kamaka. So I said, okay. I was in college at the time. I couldn't afford it, and back then the kamakas were actually cheap. They were like $500. But I still couldn't afford it. So I met a friend that actually built one in Kamehameha schools. So I said, okay, well, if that's possible, I can probably do it. So just started learning from there. The first one was, I should have actually brought it, but it was the most horrible uke I've ever seen. But I still got it. So that was just, no, it wasn't a kamaka. It was the one I made.
Oh, your first one.
Yeah, because I took measurements with a plastic ruler, those rulers you got in school, and I just tried to measure it and figured I could just copy it. It was just the biggest mistake, but it was a start on a road that kind of led me here now.
So you didn't have any woodworking experience before you started?
Very little.
Yeah.
Very little. Yeah, I was a mechanic actually before that. So.
Oh, that's right. And stuff.
Yeah, it's more of a hobby kind of thing. So I was going to college and all that. So. Yeah.
So you just fell in love with the building aspect and decided you wanted to do it
more of an
full-time?
obsession. I wasn't really in love with it. It was more like just being hard-headed and just wanting to just make something that I could actually play.
Yeah.
And to this day, I still don't have one.
I didn't know you had a playing background, though. Do you still play?
Yeah, I mean, nothing like Chris. I mean, it was not even close to it. I can't even touch Chris. But it was just more, I'm sure Chris got into it because it was fun. Yeah, just hanging out with your friends. And, at that time, there was this group that was playing Hawaiian studies and Hawaiian language students at the UH that would meet at Thursday night at 11 o'clock. And that was a great way to learn the language because they also spoke Hawaiian. And, it was just a great way to just go for jam sessions and stuff like that. So that's why I got into it, because it was just really fun. But the building side just kind of crept up on me, and I'm sure as with all the other builders out there, like yourself as well, like it's just it's a fun thing to do, but it's also an obsession. It's a huge challenge to make these things, and once you start to get to know other builders, I've met a lot of other builders all around the world, and it's just really amazing because the information sharing is awesome too. There's hardly anybody that won't share stuff with you. So, and I learned that early on from Bob Leeson at Hilo Strings. Anytime I needed help, give him a call.
Yep.
Help me out, whatever I need.
So how long have you been? Were you making money or supporting yourself with the ukes before you started G-String? Or
that was kind of indirectly I was, because I was going to college, so I really didn't need a whole lot of money. I was still living at home. It was more of a hobby kind of thing, and I was working part-time too. But then once people started finding out that I started making these things, and I started getting orders, and of course I had to sell them cheap. I mean, back then, so they were much less than what you could find in the store.
Yeah.
But still, it was enough money to get me through it. So once I graduated through college, I decided I didn't even want to do this. I mean, I just wanted to keep it a real serious hobby for the time being. So I was on another career track at that time. But once I graduated from college, I got on that track, and it didn't work out. And that's a whole nother story in itself. But things just worked out where this kind of ukulele building just kind of found me. I didn't really I kind of actually pushed it away in the beginning, So But doors just started opening up, and you know, it just led me to here, and I met a lot of great people like yourself, and continue to keep meeting, you know, nice people. So it's cool.
Yeah, yeah, cool, cool. Um, so, so once you started your shop, you know, how do you start assembling a staff? I mean, you know, who do you look for? I mean, do you find people with previous experience, people that work for other builders, or you know, do you train them from scratch?
It's out of necessity. I found that I had to train a lot of people from scratch, and part of it is because I like doing things my own way, and part of it is my military background is a lot of safety, a lot of procedure and stuff like that. So, it's first of all, it's in the beginning, it's hard to find, and I'm sure any business owner can identify with this. It's hard to find people just to show up every day. So that's our first prerequisite. Just can you be responsible enough to show up for work? So that's how we find people. If you show up for work every day, great, you're hired. Okay. Secondly is, okay, can you follow directions and all this kind of stuff. So to answer your question, how do we go about it? You know, just through the regular channels. You know, put an ad in the paper and people come and apply, and we, you know, just hopefully my hiring practices work out. And so far it's been pretty good. It is a pretty high turnover rate, but the people that we have now are very dedicated, and you know, I'm just really glad these are the guys that's really carrying us through even the tough times, and they're really taking our company on the next step forward.
Yeah.
So,
What do you think? I mean, do people, the guys is it just a job for them, or I mean, you know, do you have some people
I actually look for people that's just looking for jobs.
Yeah.
I try as a general rule not to hire, and you know, I'm sorry if I offend anyone, but I try not to hire people that are interested in building ukuleles. I've hired people like that before, and a lot of them come in with their own preconceptions and their own ideas of how to do things, and it's just me too. Part of it is because we have to do it the way I've developed it. If you can do that and then take it another step, then great, I'll accept that. But we've had guys come in, have their own ideas, and then we end up wasting a whole batch or something like that too. And you know, we're always open to great new ideas and stuff like that, but unfortunately, a lot of these guys have come in and they think they know what they're doing, and they don't, and that's the hard part. So, and then it ends up costing the company a lot of money on that end.
Yeah.
And it frustrates the other guys too. So.
And where's your market right now? Is it mostly you know, in the United States, or?
Well, nowadays, I mean, the only economy that's, you know, halfway decent right now is Japan.
Yeah.
But the mainland, you know, thanks to all the other builders out there, that's really propelling this. I mean, before ukuleles 20 years ago was just a toy. You know, the only guys around were like Martin and Kamakas. But you know, you got young guys like this playing it and taking it as a serious instrument now. So markets like Europe is really opening up. I'm getting calls from Sweden, Denmark, England, and then of course the mainland, U.S. mainland, is really picking it up hard now. And it's not just you know, a Tiny Tim kind of instrument anymore. It's a really serious instrument now. So yeah, the markets, you know, it's always tough. It's a luxury item, but you know, still, I think it tugs at people's emotions and lifestyles, and I think that's what's going to keep it going.
Do you think there's a lot of stuff coming from you know, a lot of these you know, kits from China and stuff, and I mean, even you know, you go to Costco now and they have ukulele in there. I mean, is that a lot of competition for the custom builder, or you know, once people cross that road and you know, they're looking for a fine instrument, then you know, it doesn't matter what these cheap instruments are coming on the market?
I guess it depends on how you look at it. If you look at it purely as a business, then yeah, I can see you might be a little threatened by that. You know, it's taking a huge chunk out of the market for sure. But from where I'm coming from, I enjoy the instrument, and I like to play, and I like to get together with friends. So whatever helps to propel this instrument forward, to get it out there and get more people interested in playing it, that's great. You know, and it's actually helped us business-wise, because more people can get into it at that price point, and then we've actually moved our line up a little higher now, so we don't have to meet that lower price points. And and we don't really, honestly, we don't enjoy making those, the run-of-the-mill, you know, the ones that everyone can buy. It's great that the other companies can fill that niche, so we've actually moved up, and of course our standards had to get higher, our skill levels had to get higher and all that, but it's a great challenge for us, so we actually welcome it.
So what do you do? You know, what is the shift you make? You know, if you're making, say, just competitive grade, you know, ukulele, and you know, then say, all right, you know, we're going to go to a you know, higher end ukulele. You know, what kind of you know, shifts do you make in material construction and design, that happens?
I think for us, the biggest thing was consistency. We had to get, one uke that's sold in California had to be the same that was being sold in Japan or wherever, if you picked one up in Waikiki or whatever. So the reputation that it carries, if the neck doesn't feel the same, the body shape's not all the same and all that kind of stuff, that was probably our number one biggest challenge. And the sound, of course, it has to be consistent. So for us to get, as a home builder, when I was doing that out of my home, I could build every single one different. It didn't matter because no one knew our name or anything. No one really expected what a uke from me should look like or sound like.
Yeah.
And that was that was kind of nice, But once we got into it, where we had to, get into the market and compete with other, great companies like, Kamakas and all those other guys, that we really had to get consistent. So, one thing was a CNC necks. We had these made on a CNC machine. For us, that was the only way to get this kind of profiling and very consistent and pretty much, exactly accurate every single time.
Yeah, so there we got into a little bit of shop talk there. So the CNC machine is?
It's a computer numeric control machine, so
Okay.
it works off a computer. And
so it's a computer controlled, well, it can be anything. It could be a computer controlled router or saw
router,
or anything. But this
three-axis mills, all
yeah.
kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, it saves a lot of labor, but it's a lot more. For me, it's actually, if we did it by hand the way we used to do it, the profiles wouldn't be as nice, but we actually have done it a lot cheaper. Yes, I'd have to bring in more labor, but the CNC parts, at least from where we get it from, they were very expensive.
Mhm.
So, but we needed the quality, so that's what we paid for it.
Okay. And you said you don't build exclusively koa. It's probably the majority of the ukes you build, though?
Yeah, I mean, that's the market demand right now. There was a point where we had a koa shortage about 4 years ago, and I had zero koa, so there was a lot of mahogany available. So we built a lot of ukes out of mahogany and
Hunter and mahogany.
Hunter and mahogany, yeah. And they didn't sell, and we had to lower our wholesale price, and it got to the point where we couldn't stay in business selling them at that price. If we had them made elsewhere, maybe, but the labor that we're paying locally, we couldn't afford it. So, the market demands for our product and our niche in the market, they demand koa. Now, on the higher end stuff, sky's the limit on that stuff. We can do spruce tops, maple backs and sides, anything you want. So there's some stuff that we don't touch, and it's just because of my experience. Either I just don't know how to work with that material, or I just don't like the material. So.
Have you worked with any of the local woods? The local fruits like
Milo, mango. What else? What else is there?
Lychee.
Lychee. I've only used lychee for the fretboard.
Yeah.
What's that? Kiave for the fretboard. What's that other one? If we could talk to Mike about materials, he could name them all.
I was talking to Mike yesterday, and he said people are looking at monkey pod even.
Monkey pod, yeah. Yeah, I've seen some pretty nice monkey pod. It looks like real bland koa.
Yeah.
But I mean, for us, koa is king. It's never gonna really change. It's an indigenous wood to Hawaii, so ukulele is a Hawaiian instrument too. So.
And as far as sound and quality for the instrument, it works well as a soundboard and back and everything.
We like it, but I always tell people sound is always subjective.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna ever say, and I never have ever said our uke sound the best. I like the sound, and we've developed the design because I like what I like.
Mm-hmm.
So if other people like it, great. It's a testament to what I like. That's all. But I've heard excellent ukes made out of all kinds of stuff.
Right.
I mean, a good example is if you go to Taylor Guitar Factory, they made a guitar out of pallet wood, and the thing sounds awesome. But it's a testament to their building skills. So a lot of it has to. I mean, I always tell people, if you have a uke, I would say 90% is the player. A player can make a horrible uke sound good. Then the other 10% is how the builder put everything together. Does it work good? Is it intonate fine? All that kind of stuff.
Is that true, Chris? Can you make any instrument sound good?
Yeah, sure.
I can prove it. I'll take that uke and make it sound horrible.
Yeah.
But he'll take it and make it sing.
Yeah.
So a lot of it, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
I think you need a really good solid platform, something that plays well, and you're not struggling with it, but at the same time, it can be a perfectly built uke and not sound good.
Yeah.
True.
So the ukuleles typically, the woods for it, the body itself vary a lot. I guess
Yeah.
when we get into fretboards and bridges, it's a little bit more limited in the
Yeah.
types of wood people use. It has to be a harder wood. I see a lot with ebony or with what rosewood, cocobolo.
Well, this is how I've learned it, and I've always just stuck with the traditional kind of stuff. And a lot of this information I'm just getting from the Campiano book. It's called Guitar Making Tradition and Technology.
I have to write that down.
Yeah, I'm sure you already read it. So, but what we like to stick with is like spruce for bracing material. It's the lightest, but the strongest wood per weight. So we use that, and soundboards. The cut. Actually, for everything we use quarter sawn wood as much as possible.
Mm.
Yeah. So but after that, well, and like the materials for the fretboard and the bridges, we like to have the material match. But on the fretboards, we like something that's very wear resistant. You get professionals like Chris here that's constantly practicing. How many hours do you practice every day?
As many as I can, but usually like three or four.
3 hours. I mean, that's 3 hours more I do every month. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So for me, it wouldn't be as important. But for a professional player, you need something that's gonna take the wear a lot.
Mm.
And
So you don't necessarily try and if you have say a koa is a darker wood, so you don't mind the lighter spruce on the inside, so you don't go with cedar or something like that, or even mahogany that would be a darker wood on the inside. So that's not the point.
as far as aesthetics, what it looks
yeah,
like.
yeah,
inside.
yeah. So it's more on how it's going to perform.
Yeah, I mean, for us, and I'm sure for most responsible builders, I think the aesthetics is going to become secondary to
Yeah.
form and function. So, you're gonna, there's a limit to it. We like to use cedar, cedar for the liners, and I like it because it smells good. And
Mhm.
it's a darker wood, but I like it because it smells good. Now, is it better than mahogany or any other basswood or whatever? I don't know. You
Yeah.
know, I just like it because of that. So, the only things that I really do aesthetically on this thing is I like the shape. It's pleasing to me. I like, that's what aesthetically it works. I'm not saying this is the best shape for sound or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's what I designed it aesthetically for. And, the headstock and all that. But everything else is more of a functional kind of thing. The shape of the neck and the contour and the radius of the neck. I did it because that's what I like.
Yeah.
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 So, yeah, as far as materials, yeah, it's sky's the limit on that stuff, and to me, that's 90% builder.
Yeah, and it's going to continually get more difficult. I know the market and the availability of woods has changed over the years, and it's going to continue to do that.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a continuing challenge to have high quality woods available for instruments. Luckily the ukulele is small, so it probably don't have the challenges like building
Sure,
guitars and
yeah.
stuff, or even you get into the big instruments like the basses and stuff.
Yeah,
It's got to be crazy finding wood for those big instruments
Yeah.
anymore.
yeah.
So besides the CNC machine, you're doing stuff with laser now
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
So what do you use your laser for?
We do a lot of lasering first of all, for engraving on soundboards, and we use them for inlay work, and we use them for parts production. So we laser out some of our parts on the braces on the back. We do tags with them. Lasers are really, for a two-dimensional machine, it's a really good versatile machine.
Mhm.
You can't really touch a CNC machine with it, but I'm really glad to have it. It's paid for itself many times over already.
Well,
Yeah.
with your, so you do some in-house laser and use it for cutting, for doing the rabbiting and also for cutting your inlay material?
Some of the inlay stuff, most of the stuff that we make channels for, or we doing like binding and stuff like that, we use routers for that.
Mhm.
But for inlays on fretboards, if it's not really intricate, we'll just do that. Like initials and stuff like that. You don't really have to send it out to custom inlay guys. I just do it on the laser. It's much probably a lot. I've gotten quotes for hand stuff. It's very expensive, so
Yeah.
the laser cuts the cost down tremendously.
Yeah,
So-
but inlay is so time consuming.
Yeah, it is. It's a very challenging, and I would not want to do it.
Can you
Yeah.
cut the shell with the laser?
We cut veneers. Yeah, the shell does not like the 1/8, the 1/16 stuff, or the 1/8 stuff doesn't like to cut on the laser. It's just too thick.
Is it stink?
Yeah.
You cut it?
Oh, it's actually toxic. The dust.
So you do have a fan or something that.
Yeah, the laser has a built-in vacuum. It just sucks all the stuff out.
Yeah.
And just blows it outside.
All right, cool. I think we should have maybe a song from
Sure.
Chris.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then we'll switch topics here and get into our real topic here, maybe Jared of ukulele. So when Chris gets set up here, go for it.
Sure.
Song you playing?
I'm going to be playing a standard called Stardust.
Join our conversation again. Yep. I guess maybe we should go ahead and switch into, we talked about, making a fine instrument and stuff. So I guess you get in all phases. I came to your shop the other day and you're, working on the, rough cutting. I mean, you're on the table saw. So. But you do all the final assembly. You string up all your instruments yourself, I believe.
No.
You don't?
No.
Well, I thought you strung them all. All right, but anyway, you do a lot of that. You do a lot of the final QC.
Yeah, the quality control. Yeah, I'm trying to hand that off to the guys because then it gives them a lot more responsibility on.
Okay.
They're a lot more accountable on that end. So and it's been working out pretty well actually because they feel a lot more accomplishment once if they can actually QC. Of course, I'll go and check them all before, especially the ones that we ship to Japan because we gotta pay for the shipping back if it's no good. So those I gotta check. But yeah, the boys are starting to QC a lot of stuff too. So.
Okay. So what are you looking at, say before you string up the instrument, say you have an instrument, this isn't strung yet, what are you looking for?
Well, it's actually the entire process, we have a whole bunch of checks that we do at every station. So we call them cycles of action. So every cycle of action, it's a start, change, and stop process. Every time it stops, it has to go through some kind of inspection. So by the time it gets there, it's been inspected up the wazoo already. So as far as the finished product, all I'm really expecting is just the overall look of it. Has it been dropped? Has it been, mishandled in some way or something like that? Because all this intonation, all this stuff should have been checked all the way through. The only other thing I gotta really check for is once we string it up, we just double check for intonation, string height, making sure there aren't any open buzzes. Open buzzes are something like, if a brace popped, if the bridge isn't on real good, if the saddle or the nut isn't properly set up. All those things will be apparent as we check it, as we play it. Uneven frets, all that kind of stuff. And we just go through that check, and if everything passes, it's good to go.
I suppose it's a little bit disheartening to find a defect when you're stringing. Because there's a lot of work that goes into them.
Yeah, if you're
I don't
familiar
know.
with our company, we've switched over probably about 3.5, almost 4 years ago. But we used to do like this thing we used to call it like a technician kind of deal, where I bring in one guy and basically I just duplicate myself. So if you were to come in, I train you on everything from start to finish on how to do everything and go on, so on and so forth. So we'd have like 3 or 4 guys all just being technicians. Unfortunately, there was a weak link to that. There would be the best guy and then there'd be the worst guy. Now, who would you want to get a uke from, right? And we'd have batches come through where the worst guy 70% of his batch wouldn't pass, and that's a lot of parts wasted and stuff like that too. Yeah. So now we've kind of modified that where we have a team leader. We got guys working as a team now. They all have their hands into it. They all have their accountability as far as who built it. Well, who built it? Well, we all built it. So that really helps. So now our consistency and our quality is just so much better now.
So this one is ready to go. We got one string to install.
Yeah, so I guess you wanted me to show you guys how to string up a uke. Yeah. Okay. When I teach classes, I know we met at a dog park, but I think you took my class too, one time.
No,
you didn't?
You told me I had to get 8 people together, and I didn't know 8 people.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. Okay. Anyway, this is how I teach my class, and it might sound kind of childish, but it works. And this is a U string, so it's gonna be a little hard. So do we have a close up on this?
Yeah.
Okay. So the long end goes, and this is a tie block style bridge. So this is on a pin bridge. It's gonna be a little different. Yeah. So. Rules I tell the guys is never touch or never pull anywhere in the middle here. Okay. So the short end goes here, and you want to get. This is gonna be a little short because this is already cut already. But I take this, push this through the hole, and this is the tree. Okay. Now the rabbit is the end of the short end of the string. Rabbit runs around the tree, and now there's a hole. The rabbit jumps in the hole. Comes out of the hole, he jumps in the hole again. Comes out of the hole, he jumps in the hole again. 3 times. Okay, and the rabbit only jumps in the hole twice for the thicker string. Okay. He dug so many holes, the tree fell down. He got scared and he ran away. So this string is pulling down this way, and the rabbit is running away that way.
And you tell the story to yourself every time you...
I do. That's how I train guys too. I have to because they can't get it. Okay, so now the tree falls down and you pull in the tree. Now, why don't I grab in the middle? Okay, because you don't want any kinks in the string at all. So they say, well, okay, why don't I just pull over here? Well, go ahead, but then you're going to have a kink down here. And when you're strumming, you're going to have, and it just doesn't look good. So I tell the guys, just pull it from way up here. As you're pulling this, you just want to hold on to this rabbit or the tail right here.
Yeah.
Okay, and the important thing about tie blocks is, and I have customers coming in all the time and asking me, okay, well, something's wrong with the uke, they won't tune right, and you've probably gone through this with your students as well. Yeah, they change their strings, and so on tie blocks, this string has to be over this edge right here. Okay, now if this tail, what a lot of guys do is they don't let the rabbit run through the hole enough. Okay, so they just tie it one time and it goes over like that.
Yeah. Okay,
now that's gonna come loose. So this tail has to go over that edge.
Yeah.
So that's why I go 3 times. Through the hole 3 times. Make the tree fall down and rabbit runs away. Okay, just pull that. Now that's locked. That's not gonna come off.
Okay.
Great thing about these wound keys, these geared up keys, is I got this winder on this drill. This is a 14:1 gear ratio on this thing. So just kind of wind that up by hand. Let's hold the string down. You can wind this by hand and sit here all day and get a sore wrist, right? How do you change strings? Do you have a
I have a little mini version of that.
a mini one? Yeah.
But before I used to turn it by hand, which would
Yeah.
take me half an hour.
Yeah, it's kind of like you just do that, change strings, and you gotta leave for half an hour and then come back, and then you want to mess around with the tuning and all that, right?
Yep.
So, all we got is this handy little drill thing. It just winds it right up. So easy. So when you're doing, we do quantities. When we string up ukes, we're doing about anywhere from 30 to 60 pieces, and trying to string up 60 of these guys by hand, you're gonna want something like that. So that really helps to do. If not, there's a manual one as well where it's just a winder. You probably got that one too.
Mhm.
Yeah, you probably started off with that one. So that one really helps too. It makes the job go a lot faster. So, and that's it.
So then at this point, you're checking string height, and that's about all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
get our nuts. These nuts are. This is a nut right
Uh-huh.
here. We get these CNC machined. This company that also makes them for Fender guitars as well.
Yeah.
So we know these are good, but sometimes you need a little adjustment. So
Mm.
you gotta clean up a slot. We use a fret file.
Mm-hmm.
This is a nut file actually. And this one, what we do is we'll just go in there and clean up that slot in case there's any burrs or anything in there. We check for that. We make sure this height. What I try to tell the guys is keep this string about one string diameter above this first fret. There's also some guys that use a 0 fret, and that actually regulates the height instead of the nut. We use a nut to regulate our height because we can adjust it. Then we look back here. We're looking for about maybe 3 to 4 millimeters of string height above the fret at the 14th fret. This is a 14th fret right here at the joint.
You do all your ooks at 14 fret?
Not all, just as well. The standards we do at the 12.
12.
Then we also have a long neck standard version, which is a concert neck on a standard body. That one is joined at the 14th.
Mm.
Everything else is joined at the 14th, even at concerts. Traditionally, the concerts are joined at the 12th fret on any of them, but I've just extended that, and that just brings our bridge up a little higher on the soundboard, and I kind of like that. So.
Yeah.
Other than that, the setup, we're looking at saddle height, so we can adjust the string action over here. And then when we're checking for intonation. We're checking again, for any kind of defects inside the uke once it's already assembled. Just things happen in the shop sometimes. We've had guys that didn't say anything; they've actually dropped the uke. Braces broke inside. We strung it up, and there's a mystery buzz. We're playing it, and there's a major buzz somewhere. We can't figure it out. And it's a broken brace inside.
Mm.
So
What do? You just get into mirrors and look around, and
Yeah.
or you got a stethoscope or something? You try and isolate.
No, I
this
mean, if it's
sound?
a broken brace, you can really hear it.
Yeah.
You're just playing it, and no matter what you do, it's buzzing. No, you can isolate a nut buzz, you can isolate a saddle buzz, you can isolate fret buzzes. If the buzz doesn't go away on any of those, then it's probably a broken brace.
Mhm.
We've actually had loose bridges,
Yeah.
hard to see sometimes.
Yeah.
So a lot of it just comes with experience and just getting super frustrated with finding buzzes, and then you eventually find them. And then you do the next step is a torture test on the neck joint.
Yeah. What do you? What material do you use for nuts and bridges?
We use micarta on the nut, and we use it's a Korean derivative for the saddles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. And then you brought some other stuff to demonstrate here.
Yeah, I think, going back to one of our checks and balances, one of the things that we never did before, because it took a lot of skills to do this part of the setup, and I think there's a lot of builders that kind of shy away from it. Because I know I did. I didn't want to do it at first, and we did was fret leveling. One of the hardest things to do, I think, is to get this fretboard set up really nicely. So you get, and a musician is going to tell you right off the bat, it's the hardest thing to do is play a buzzing, uneven fretted instrument. It's not set up real smooth. You can actually do slides and cut your hand, and it's just not a pleasure to play that kind of instrument, right? So that's why we try and make sure that this thing is set up very well. So and we don't do this once it's finished. We do this during the building process.
Right.
Okay? So one of the things that we do first off This is a flat fretboard. I just brought this is our radius fretboard jig, and a radius fretboard is, you guys probably all know this already, but it's just a guitar type fretboard that has a slight curve, and this helps to do, like, is it easier to work with bar chords when you do a radius fretboard? Or
Extremely easy with the radius.
yeah, so it just helps a little bit more to get this radius fretboard. Unfortunately, it's not flat, so we just can't sand it with a flat block. So this guy will go in this jig, and there's actually line-up pins in here. The beauty about CNC machines is you can get stuff so accurate that every single board, I can get 2,000 boards, and they'll all pop onto this jig because they're all exactly the same distance from these pins. So these holes actually double as marker dot holes, but we also use them as pins, line up for these pins, which is also in the neck. So when we assemble all this stuff, we have pins in the neck, we have marker dots covering these holes, and then the pins all line this up.
How do you set your marker dot height if the hole's drilled all the way through?
The marker dots are a wonderful thing about CNC machines. They are so consistent that these holes I know are 4 millimeters. When we order the shelf from Australia, we get them sized perfectly. So when we push these in, we don't have to glue them in. We just press in, and they're about half the thickness of this fretboard.
You use a press to press them in then?
We use a soft face hammer and it's a metal spatula,
Yeah.
and we just pop them in there and they go in.
Wow. So
Yeah.
it is hollow underneath the marker dot then?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so anyway, so this one, it's got some machining marks on it. So what we'll do is we got this block that's been machined to the same radius, and we have a sticky back sandpaper, and we'll just go back and forth on this jig to level off that fretboard. Then we go back, install all of our frets, and then we go back again with this thing to level all that off.
You use the same sanding block for sanding the face and sanding your...
For this fretboard
Yeah.
system, yeah. For this ones, we can use, for flat ones is a lot easier. We have, and maybe I should preface this first. What we try and do is we make this neck straight equal with this plane. So if we make this string the same, the string is going to be a straight line.
Right.
We want the fretboard to be a straight line
Right.
as well. Okay. Some people put a slight bow in it here. If you have truss rods in your neck, then you can actually create that bow with a truss rod. And sometimes it helps with playability as well too. But for what we do and how we build, we like to try to just keep it as straight as possible. And to do that, we accomplish it with, we have a rough file that we go over. Then we go with the smooth file. And then this is a short one for taking down any high spots. And how we check that is with this machinist square. And we just check this. If we get any rocking, or if we run it across and we hit anything, we know it's a high fret. If we get rocking, we know it's a high fret. We also check it from the side to see if there's any air in there, air gap. So if we have a bow in the middle, we have to take these lower ones down. Then we go back with this is some homemade glass block. It's a jealousy glass. It's been epoxied to a sanding block. And we use that to go back with fine sandpaper. We just keep going progressively down.
How fine do you go?
Depends on how nice you want to make the frets. We go down to, what are we using now? 320 grit
Is the finest.
on the production stuff. On the custom stuff, we'll actually go back and we'll buff all the frets.
Yeah.
But on the production stuff, we don't buff the frets out. One of the problems with doing this is you'll get a flat top on your fret wire, and it comes with it's a radius fret wire. It's a rounded top, so it tends to become kind of uncomfortable playing if you leave that edge on. So if it's a real severe edge, this is also a fret file, and what this does is you go over the fret and it actually rounds it back over again.
Right.
Okay, and then we go back with we go back and hand sand it, and we try and get that flat parts radiused over again as much as possible. So it's not going to be as crowned as the ones that are untouched, but at least we know that the frets are set up, then they're nice and level and flat. And then we go back and just dress everything else up.
So then after that, you got to dress the ends too.
Yeah, we go back again with sandpaper and just edge this off. I forgot to bring my other tool.
Yeah.
If it's real severe, we have another file that's on an angle, and we just run it across the top, and that actually cuts that. But we do this step before. We do that step before we glue the
leveling.
fretboard on. Yeah.
Oh, before you glue the fretboard on, you.
Yeah,
do
these
the
are
edges.
they're all fretted before we glue the fretboard on.
this fretboard is, you know, probably 90% finished before we even glue it onto the neck.
Yeah, and then what? That's where your holes come in handy too, because then you can lock the fretboard to a jig that's going to hold it
Yeah.
stable while you're doing your filing. You know, for doing your edges and stuff. Then
Actually, no. All we do is
you do it by hand. Just hold it to the edge of the table and file them.
well, the guys have to round it over, so it's actually a skill job that one of the skill cycles that we have to do. I have to teach them. We have a little jig that we hold up to keep the fretboard flat. Once you put all these frets in without any backing, the fretboard is actually bowed like this because of all the metal that's in there that's kind of stretching the wood out, so it's bowed like that. So we have to hold it flat. They get in on a sander and they just edge all this off and then they round it over. So this is beveled as well, and then we glue it onto the neck.
Are your frets totally held in by tension, or do you glue them
Just
in
pressure.
also?
We don't glue anything
don't
in.
glue 'em.
Yeah. Again, that's the CNC doing it because we got the blades that cut these fret slots are measured perfectly for these fret wires, the tangs. We'd be in trouble if we couldn't get the same fret wire. Then we'd have to readjust all the fret slots in there.
Yeah. Yeah. What is your fret wire composition?
I don't know the exact numbers. I know it's nickel, tin, and I don't know.
Yeah.
We get it from Luthier's Mercantile.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just more concerned about the size.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. I don't know how much time we have left. Okay.
15 minutes.
We're about 15 minutes. Why don't we do one more song with Chris, and then we'll finally get into our topic of care and maintenance.
Okay.
And this song, Chris, will be?
The Shadow of Your Smile.
All right. Thanks again. I'm always happy to. I remember when I first built my, my first uke.
I remember that too.
And I had this uke, and I don't know, I can't play. And I happened to stop by Mike Chalk's shop, and somebody was there, a player was there, and I gave my uke, and I said, "Would you play this for me?" Because I couldn't make it do anything. So I just had to hear it. A piece of music played on my uke, and it was nice.
Well, I talked to a lot of the NAM show. I talked to a lot of guitar makers and stuff, and one of the things that is kind of floating around out there is a lot of the top guitar builders are failed musicians because they can't play, so they just build. So.
Well, I'm not a failed musician. I'm just not a musician. So.
Yeah, but I'm a perfect example. I'm pretty much a failed musician, so I just started building them.
All right. So we go out and we get this great ukulele. Somebody, custom made us an ukulele. So now we got to make it last.
Yeah.
And how long should an uke last?
It should last your whole life.
It should last a long time. Yeah.
It should.
How old are some of these violins that are hanging around?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Yes.
Older than you and I put
Hundreds
together.
of years, yeah. So, so all right. So how do we take care of it? I guess think there's a bunch of different questions.
Yeah,
in there.
there's
one is just cleaning and maybe taking care of the wood itself. Some of these surfaces are lacquered, so basically it's polish and stuff.
I guess I'll address it this way. Any wood instrument you wanna keep it away from extremes, extreme heat, extreme cold, extreme dryness, extreme moisture. You don't want to keep it out in the sun. Other than that, I think it really depends on the manufacturer. For us, this is what we require as far as what our warranty states. Okay, you have to maintain it at between 40 to 45% humidity at all times. So if you're in Arizona, that's going to be a problem, or wintertime in Japan. But if you do take care of it, the manufacturer should tell you as well, okay, what kind of finish, and every finish is going to require a certain amount. Like let's say if you got a French polish finish, that's going to require a lot more maintenance than something that's a UV cure finish, or even what we're using now is a conversion varnish finish. Lacquer, for us, we found that lacquer it tends to crack, okay, especially in dry weather. So your humidity is really a huge factor in there. So what do you do?
Main thing I do is there's a lot of oil from your fingers. So
yeah.
I just wipe down the fretboard after I use it, and I use an Ernie Ball guitar polish and guitar cloth. Okay. So that I find that works really well. If you scratch it up, then it takes the kink right out.
Okay. Does it have silicone in it?
No, actually, it's safe for any kind of finish.
Okay. Yeah, we try to recommend not using any kind of silicone finishes, and the only reason for that is it's really difficult to refinish if you have silicone all over.
Almost impossible.
So, yeah, almost impossible. So other than that, for ours, we try to make it as low maintenance as possible for our customers. So we're using a conversion varnish finish now. The manufacturer for the varnish says, just a mild soap and water solution, and you can use
on your varnish surfaces.
On the varnish surfaces. What we're using right now is mineral oil on our fretboards and our bridges.
Mineral oil.
And actually, the oils from your hands, I'm glad you mentioned that. The oils from your hands helps to condition the wood. The acids is not good for the metal and the frets. So you want to keep that clean as well. And like Chris said, you wipe it down after you play every day, and just keep look how beautiful that uke is. I'm sure he takes care of it. He wipes it down all the time. He keeps your acids and oils off of it.
So even the tuning keys and stuff would be something you have to wipe off.
Those guys are notorious in Hawaii.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't take care of it, how old is that uke? How long you had it?
This is actually around 4 years old, but I've had it for about a couple months now.
Wow. Okay. So it's either been in the case or it's been very well maintained, because the plating on these is not the best you're gonna find in the world. So especially in Hawaii salt air, they really get pitted and get corroded real quick. So
is that a reason to some are the plastic?
We change these buttons out. They actually come with the metal buttons like that, and actually heavier than those. But we change these out just for the added weight, so we kind of lighten the instrument, and also because the buttons get real ratty, especially because this part is what you're touching the most.
Right.
And if people don't take care of it, I've seen them go bad within 8 months. I mean, they're just gone. So especially if you're a professional like Kelly Boy, he's playing 6 nights a week sometimes. And if you ever seen Kelly perform, he's sweating. I mean, he's profusely sweating. especially under these hot lights and stuff. So
Mhm.
imagine the energy that he has.
Mhm.
So I'll get the uke back, and we try and recondition it every 6 months to a year. Come back, and I gotta change the keys out, and he really doesn't have the time to
Right.
really take care of his instruments. So that's one thing as a manufacturer we have to take into account. Some people are not gonna take care of their instruments, So
How about the bridges and the fretboard? What do you need to do with those? Because do they dry out, or do they need to be re-oiled at times?
Yeah, I would re-oil them, especially if you're in a dry climate already.
Yeah.
But yeah, oiling will never hurt it. I don't know if you can really put too much oil on it.
Because they make a fretboard oil,
Yeah.
which is a lot more lemon oil. What do you use on your fretboard?
Lemon oil is
Lemon
good.
oil.
Lemon is good.
And you're using
We're using mineral oil
Mineral
right
oil
now, but everybody there's also this stuff called Fret Ease. It has some oils in it that people just rub onto the fretboard and the strings, and that actually helps to ease their playing as well
Yeah.
too. So that kind of conditions it. Other than that, it should be a low maintenance thing. I think,
Yeah.
as far as for the general consumer, we don't want to be messing around with it too much.
Right. How about even manufacturing? Because during the summer it's relatively dry, and then we can get Januaries like this. A few weeks ago where it's raining all the time.
Yeah.
What challenges does that make for you for
Huge.
a builder?
Like I remember 2 years ago, it rained for 42 days
Yeah,
straight.
42 days,
Yeah,
yeah.
we basically just had to shut down. It was rough. We couldn't
Because the wood is
spray,
just
and
too wet.
especially lacquer.
Well, yeah, I mean because with the painting, but even the wood.
Yeah.
How about the wood?
The wood, we tried to stay away from the major construction stuff. We all we did that time was just cut wood. We cut wood. We made parts. We have our fretboards in a drying. It's like a old converted freezer. So all the parts that we do, we just throw it in there, make sure it just stays dry.
Oh.
And other than that, I mean, it was rough. It was
Yeah.
rough that period of time.
Yeah.
So we fell behind.
So you don't put any
Luckily-
dust in or anything. It's just to isolate it from the extreme humidity when it's raining.
Yeah, especially there. I mean, yeah, Halava Valley is like always raining too, so
Yeah.
we gotta really watch that. The finished product that we have, we try to keep it in the cases, or we keep it in my office where it's air conditioned a lot, so that the humidity gets sucked back out through the air conditioning system. So that kind of helps out too. So
Well, the air conditioners are just
they're
are
basically
dehumidifiers in
dehumidifiers, yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
So
Other than that, I think
I'm
you
traveling to Arizona.
Yeah.
I'm taking my uke with me.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Okay, this is what I recommend. If you don't have, first of all, get yourself a good humidifier and a digital hygrometer, which is going to measure the humidity in your case. Keep it in your case as much as possible. Now, if you're in a pinch and you start seeing stuff, and this actually happened to me in Japan in the summer. It was really hot. It was actually closer to winter time. It's getting really dry, really cold, and we were on tour going around all over Japan. So we had about 6 ukes with us. I took it in the shower because I noticed they were starting to move. So I took it in the shower, a real hot shower. I didn't literally take a shower with the ukes. They were in the bathroom, steamed out the bathroom well, and just kept it in there, let the steam kind of soak into the wood for about an hour or two. And I did that for maybe 3 nights out of the week that I was there. And it helps to just re-humidify the lumber. So if you don't do that, you're going to get all kinds of movement, all kinds of problems.
Yeah. You carry a hydrometer with you?
Do I carry
Yeah.
one? When we go somewhere, yeah, definitely.
And you're going over mostly for shows, just
Yeah.
showing your
Yeah.
product. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have representatives in Japan also then? I mean, just stores that stock your ukuleles? in
We
Japan?
have a very large distributor in Japan that handles our business in Japan.
Yeah. Cool. Have you had any trouble with humidity with your ukes?
No, not really. It's been good. I make sure to keep it out of the sun and all these other things, just make sure I know where my ukulele is at all times. Occasionally I leave it in the car, for some reasons, but usually I leave it in the shade.
It teaches good parenting skills, huh?
Sure, I mean, yeah. I mean, if you make your living with it, you want to take care of it, yeah. So.
Yeah. All right, cool. We only have a couple minutes left, so we'll go through a couple more things. Maybe Chris, you can get set up to take us out in a couple minutes. Okay. Did you have any other comments or any other questions for Derek?
No. He answered everything.
Yeah. The web is where you will find announcements for upcoming Ukulele Guild events. If you're a player, let us know where you're playing, and the Guild will post it on their website. Personally, I'm always looking for, for guests that would like to, share their talent and expertise to the public. If you're an Ukulele Guild member, that's always a plus. If you're interested in presenting or playing on a future program, you can call me at area code 808-627-5102, or send an email to ukebuildersworkshop@yahoo.com. I'd like to give a big mahalo to our guest, Derek Shimizu,
Thank you.
G-string ukuleles, and Chris Salvadore. Are you playing any gigs?
Right now, I'm only doing once a month at Minato's restaurant.
Minato's restaurant. You're still going to school right now?
Yeah,
You're
senior in high
senior.
school.
Where at?
Christian Academy.
Okay. All right.
Amazing talent for a senior. Gosh.
Young kids.
Yeah.
Just us. Oh, I'm in a different generation from you too, but we just don't have a chance anymore.
Yeah.
All right. So until next time, mahalo and thanks for joining us on this edition of Uke Builders Workshop, and we will see you next time.